Welcome to 10-Minute Zuimonki. One day Dōgen taught, saying, "If someone asks about the Dharma or the foundations of practice, you should always answer truthfully. Do not resort to contrived, expedient means, thinking that the person will not understand the teaching or lacks the capacity to grasp it. The essence of the Bodhisattva precepts is this. Even if someone possesses only the understanding of the lesser vehicle and asks about its principles, you should answer from the standpoint of the great vehicle. This is how the Tathagata taught during his lifetime. Provisional teachings have no lasting value. Only teachings that reveal the ultimate truth are truly precious. Therefore, rather than worrying about whether the other person will understand or not, you should always speak the truth." Dōgen also said, "When you meet someone, look at their true virtue. Do not judge them by outward appearance or temporary characteristics." Once a man came to Confucius wishing to become his disciple. Confucius asked him, "Why do you wish to study under me?" The man replied, "Master, I saw your noble and dignified appearance at court, and longed to place myself under your guidance." At once Confucius called one of his disciples and ordered him to prepare a carriage, robes, gold, silver, and various valuables. Presenting these things to the man, he said, "I am not the one before whom you bow." On another occasion, Dōgen said, "A minister and chief advisor to the emperor at Uji once visited the imperial bathhouse and stood watching the attendant tend the fire. Seeing him, the attendant drove him away, saying, 'Who do you think you are, wandering into the bathhouse for no reason?' A little later the minister removed his shabby clothes, put on formal robes, and returned in full dignity. The attendant saw him from afar, became frightened, and fled. The minister then took off his robes, hung them on a post, and bowed to them. Someone asked why he had done this. He replied, 'People do not respect me because of my virtue. They respect what I am wearing.' This is how foolish people show respect. In the same way, they honor the words written in the sutras." An ancient teacher said, "The words of a true statesman fill the world, yet there is not a single mistake in them. His actions fill the world, yet no one bears resentment toward them. This is because he says what ought to be said and does what ought to be done. Such words and actions are the expression of the highest virtue and the essence of the way. Is it not the case that people in this world make mistakes precisely because they speak and act with themselves in mind? The words and conduct of one who wears the patched robe have been transmitted and established by the ancestors. Therefore, they should not be altered according to personal opinions. This is the path trodden by the Buddhas and ancestors. Everyone who practices this way should turn the light upon themselves. This means examining how one conducts one's own body and mind. Having put on the patched robe, you are children of Shakyamuni. Therefore, you should carry yourselves in the manner of the Tathagata. The proper conduct of body, speech, and mind is the etiquette practiced by all the Buddhas. Each of you should follow it. Even among ordinary people it is said, 'Wear your robes according to the proper form, and let your words accord with the way.' How much more so should monks in patched robes refrain from relying on their own clever ideas?" Today's passage may seem to cover several different topics. Dōgen speaks about teaching the Dharma, judging people by appearances, and the conduct of monks. But all of these teachings point in the same direction. They ask us a question. What are we really seeing? Dōgen begins by saying that when someone asks about the Dharma, we should answer truthfully. We should not hold back because we think the other person is incapable of understanding. This is an interesting point. Often we make assumptions about other people. We decide what they can understand and what they cannot. We decide what they are ready for and what they are not ready for. But Dōgen suggests that our task is not to calculate another person's capacity. Our task is simply to speak the truth as clearly and honestly as we can. Whether the other person understands today, tomorrow, or years from now is not entirely up to us. The important thing is not to dilute the Dharma out of fear or doubt. Then Dōgen turns to a story about Confucius. A man comes to Confucius and asks to become his disciple. When Confucius asks why, the man replies that he was impressed by Confucius's noble appearance and dignified bearing. In other words, he was attracted by what he saw on the outside. Confucius immediately understood the problem. The man was admiring a public image rather than the person himself. So Confucius gave him robes, wealth, and fine possessions, and said, in fact, "If it is these things you admire, then you are looking in the wrong place." Dōgen follows this with another story. A high-ranking minister visits a bathhouse dressed in shabby clothes. The attendant treats him with disrespect and drives him away. Later, the same minister returns dressed in magnificent official robes. This time, the attendant's attitude is different. The minister then removes the robes, hangs them up, and bows to them. Why? Because he wants to make a point. People are not respecting him. They are respecting the clothes. Their judgment is based entirely on appearances. And isn't this something we all do? We see a person's occupation, education, social status, age, appearance, or reputation, and immediately form an opinion. We assume we know who they are. But Dōgen is asking us to look deeper. The real measure of a person is not what they wear, not what title they hold, not what position they occupy. The real question is their character, their sincerity, their virtue. This teaching applies just as much to ourselves. We spend a great deal of energy managing appearances. We want others to see us in a certain way. We want to appear knowledgeable, successful, spiritual, or accomplished. But Buddhist practice asks a different question. Who are you when no one is looking? What kind of person are you beneath all the labels and roles? Toward the end of the passage, Dōgen says something very important. He reminds monks that they should not rely on their own clever ideas. Instead, they should align themselves with the conduct passed down by the Buddhas and ancestors. At first, this may sound restrictive, but Dōgen's point is not blind obedience. His point is humility. We all have a tendency to place great trust in our own opinions. We assume that because something seems right to us, it must be right. Yet our judgments are often shaped by self-interest, habit, and ignorance. The practice of the way asks us to learn from those who have walked the path before us, to be willing to question ourselves, to be willing to learn, and to be willing to let the Dharma reshape us, rather than trying to reshape the Dharma according to our own preferences. So perhaps the central lesson of this passage is this. Look beyond appearances. Look beyond status. Look beyond your own assumptions. Whether you are teaching the Dharma, meeting another person, or examining yourself, do not stop at the surface. The way begins when we learn to see more deeply. Thank you for listening. Until next time.